There is a hidden force within us, one that drives our desires, fuels our ambitions, and shapes the very way we experience the world. It is the force of craving, a hunger that seems endless, always reaching for more. More pleasure, more success, more validation, more certainty. It whispers that if we could just have enough, achieve enough, control enough, then we would finally be at peace. And yet, no matter how much we attain, something always feels incomplete. This is Samudaya, the second noble truth taught by the Buddha. If the first noble truth, dukkha, reveals that life contains suffering, then the second truth goes deeper. It asks, why? Why do we suffer? What is the root of this unease that follows us even in our happiest moments? Samudaya holds the answer. Suffering arises from craving. But this truth is not meant to be a condemnation. It is a key. Because if suffering has a cause, then suffering can also have an end. The root of craving, the illusion of lack. At the heart of Samudaya is an ancient illusion, the belief that we are incomplete. From the moment we are born, we begin to crave. As infants, we reach for warmth, nourishment, and comfort. As we grow, our cravings evolve, turning into desires for love, success, recognition, pleasure, control. The mind tells us, when I have this, I will be happy. When I achieve that, I will be at peace. And so, we chase. We chase love, believing another person will complete us. We chase wealth, believing security will end our fears. We chase distractions, believing they will silence our discomfort. But the closer we get, the more we realize, the craving does not stop. The mind only finds new things to desire, new things to cling to. This is the cycle of tanha, or thirst, the endless craving that fuels suffering. The Buddha saw that craving arises from ignorance, the mistaken belief that something outside of us can complete what is already whole. And yet, most people spend their entire lives searching outward for what can only be found within. The three forms of craving. Samudaya manifests in different ways, appearing not just as physical desires, but as subtle mental habits that shape our reality. The Buddha described three primary forms of craving. 1. Kama-tanha, craving for sensory pleasure. The hunger for physical enjoyment. Food, sex, entertainment, intoxicants. It is not that pleasure itself is wrong, but when we cling to it, it becomes suffering. Pleasure fades. When it is gone, craving returns. 2. Bhava-tanha, craving for becoming. The desire to be something more, to be successful, to be admired, to be different than we are. It is the craving to build an identity, to define oneself, to seek permanence in an impermanent world. 3. Vibhava-tanha, craving for non-existence. The desire to escape pain, to avoid reality, to numb, to forget. It is the longing for oblivion, the rejection of what is. At their core, all three forms of craving are avoidances of reality. They arise from the illusion that we are separate from the flow of existence, that we must seek, strive, and control in order to be whole. But the more we grasp, the more we suffer. Because reality cannot be controlled. It can only be surrendered to. The cycle of suffering, the wheel of samsara. Craving is not just the cause of suffering, it is the fuel that keeps us trapped in samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Imagine a wheel spinning over and over. Each time we cling to something, an identity, a desire, a belief, the wheel turns again. We seek love, but love fades and we suffer. We seek wealth, but wealth is never enough, and we suffer. We seek control, but life is uncertain, and we suffer. Every time we chase pleasure or run from pain, we reinforce attachment, binding ourselves deeper into the illusion that we must grasp in order to be free. But true freedom does not come from having more. It comes from letting go. Beyond craving, seeing through the illusion. Samudaya is not simply about desire, it is about attachment to desire. The Buddha did not teach that we must reject all joy, all experience, or all ambition. What he taught is that when we attach our happiness to them, we suffer. You may love deeply, but if you cling, fear will arise. You may strive for success, but if you depend on it, you will always be anxious. You may enjoy life, But if you expect it to last, you will be heartbroken when it changes. And it will change. Everything is impermanent. But this is not a tragedy, it is liberation. Because once we see that nothing outside of us can bring lasting peace, we can stop searching for it. And when we stop searching, we find that peace was always there. The path to liberation, breaking free from craving. How do we free ourselves from the suffering of craving? The answer is not suppression, it is understanding. To free yourself from craving, you do not need to forcefully let go. You simply need to see through the illusion that there is anything to grasp in the first place. A few practices that help. Instead of blindly chasing every craving, watch it. Notice the thoughts that arise. If I have this, then I will be happy. Question it. Ask, is this really true? See that nothing lasts. Pleasure, pain, love, loss. When you stop demanding that life be permanent, you stop suffering when it changes. Craving always pulls us away from now, into the future, into the mind. When you return to the present, craving dissolves. When we hold on to things, they hold on to us. But when we give freely, our time, our love, our possessions, we loosen the grip of attachment. And slowly we begin to wake up. We stop running. We stop seeking. We stop fighting what is. And in that stillness, we find something we never expected. The peace we were searching for was never missing. It was simply waiting for us to see that it was always there. Closing reflection, the end of the search. Craving is a fire. It burns, it consumes, it leaves us endlessly hungry. But when we stop feeding it, the fire dies down. Not because we force it to, but because we no longer need it. Because in the end, what we were searching for was never outside of us. It was here, in the stillness, all along. This is Samudaya, the second noble truth, the origin of suffering, and the beginning of awakening. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Until next time. Next.